Good evening. Welcome to, I think, what is now our 22nd senior night. Before we start senior night, though, it's been a great Spirit Week, and Marissa's here to announce the winners of Spirit Week and give them their great prizes. How about a round of applause for Marissa?
Okay, so I want to preface this with everybody who participated in Spirit Week did an amazing job. So there's that. But first, I wanted to kind of give recognition to a few people who were participating in Spirit Week who didn't necessarily have to, but they showed like an exemplar gusto for it. So I wanted to give, or Stuco wanted to give, a honorable mention award to Mr. Roth and Miss Fairbank for great sportsmanship for Spirit Week. She owes it all to Erin. Okay. So now we're going to go day by day, and we'll start with third place going to first place. And if you're first place, you get a little special thing that I'm going to explain later. But first, we're going to start off with Color Day. So for the third place Color Day outfit, we have Isabella Huang in a red outfit. It appears she's not here, so we'll give that to her later. Second place is Luis Castellanos for the green camo outfit. Okay, and then for our first place, we have Max Cyclic for a beige outfit, but is he here? Okay, we'll give it to him on Monday, but round of applause for Max. Okay, so we're going to move on to the teacher-student outfit day. In third place, we had Phil Nye and Mr. Burgos. Phil's not here, but Burgos gets them. Come here, Mr. Burgos. All right. In second place, we have Carson Kaiser for his impression of Dr. T. And I'm sure you're all expecting this one, but for first place, we have Mr. Paul and Matthias Mittendorfer. All right, so now it's Pajama Day. For the third place Pajama Day outfit, we have Luis Castellanos again. In second place, we have Brian Nanton. And in first place, we have Kira Hall. I'll meet you halfway. All right, so we have our meme day outfits now. In third place, we have John Wesley Posey. So he's not here. Cool. In second place, we have Kira Hall. And in first place, we have Amelia Chirizzi. Okay, so if you were a first place winner for any of these categories, come see me right after this, because on Monday, to celebrate 100 days of school, we're doing 100 donuts, and each of the winners gets to pick one flavor of donuts to give to the entire school. So if you won, come see me or Maya. So, yep. Thank you.
All right, all the seniors, come grab a seat. Are we missing one? Who? Keep the chair there. Dr. Holkamp, beloved colleagues, dear parents, cherished students, Michael Hansen, I present to you the class of 2020. Big round of applause. It's fitting that they graduate in 2020 because as far as I can tell, they are the biggest, well, they're really big, especially with Braden, but they're the largest group of students we've ever had, 20 graduates, although I've seen some of your grades, especially you, Max Chu, you got to push that. It might be 19 at graduation if you're not very careful. One thing I want to tell you about this class that struck me, I've been here for now, it's my 26th year. This is a group that really looks out for each other. When one person's down in tears, crying, usually Luis, there are 3 or 4 people. There are 3 or 4 people that get that person picked up as fast as possible. They are really a remarkable group of young men and women. When they graduate, this school is going to be hard-pressed to replace them. I applaud all of you because you guys are just a very together group. Even though the night is about the seniors, I do want to recognize everyone who has coached for us this year. And here is the only time I think I need my list because I don't want to forget anybody. So you know how they say hold applause to the end? Don't hold applause to the end. Let's clap for Dr. Braun, probably watching on the internet wherever he is. Our boys soccer coach, and Carlos Burgos. Please stand up, Coach B. You've noticed that Coach Burgos is shyer than the rest of us. DJ, where are you? Marie de Jesus, volleyball coach. Mr. Smith, varsity fitness instructor. Step up, Mr. Smith. Flex, yeah. Which way to the beach, Mr. Smith? Mr. Pesic, yoga master extraordinaire, volleyball coach. Coach Peroni, where are you? Mike Peroni, stand up. Where'd he go? Where is he? Well, we're going to clap for him when he comes back. He was our assistant coach this year in basketball, and he was fantastic. Brett Paul, who has helped us out so many times in volleyball and in soccer. Mr. Paul, please stand up. Coaching probably for the last time in a long while, Dr. Troutman, our girls soccer coach, stand on up. And I hope she's watching somewhere in Iowa with her cows and whatever she's doing out there. Claire Wilson was our basketball coach and volleyball coach. Coach, thank you so much. Even though we want to recognize the seniors, we do recognize there is one student here who will not. Oh, hold, stop. Coach Peroni just walked to the gym. Coach Peroni, stand up. There is one person here who will not be coming back next year to participate in our sports. Amelia Grum, will you please stand up for a second? No, stand. You know, I hadn't coached girls basketball for 15 years, and this is the 1 year out of 16 that I coached. You did not play very much. But when you got in, unlike your teammates who need to be coaxed to shoot the ball, you shot right away. You needed no encouragement. You had so much energy. In practice, you were great. You made us better because of what you did in practice. And I'm sorry to reveal what goes on in the locker room. When our final game ended, you broke down in tears, and you broke my heart doing so. You love playing sports here. We love having you here. Next year, I hope you play some basketball. I know you're not very good in Poland. You're probably on the national team the way you play. How about a big round of applause for Amelia? Okay, now it's time to get to the seniors. This is a show, and when you have a show, you got to put on your best act first. Our best act, of course, is Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Where is he? William Irby once misspelled his own name on a French quiz. Let that fact sink in before I clarify and tell you, as I must, that it was his French name that he misspelled, Guillaume. Could you spell that now? I mean in French. Maybe later. Like several of these folks, William joined TJ the same year I did. I heard that he loved math. had even attended a math camp over the summer. How cool is that? He joined math club and had some impressive showings. The American math competition, continues to love math. You know what else he loves? B minuses. Loves B minuses. Especially recently, right? I guess he thrives in the suspense. Will he have honors or won't he? You know I can pull, I don't have to pull any punches. It's your boxing metaphor, right? It's because of how often it's been proven and how widely it's understood that Williams is a mind made for and a mind made up to achieve greatness. And I don't want to unearth any long-buried hatchets. Well, I do. That's going to be later, though. I want to ask you to try and think of the last time you heard of Williams being involved in anything so serious as a spat with anyone else. Now ask yourself how often you have seen him in the act of making someone else's day better. He is, as Mr. Roth says, a devoted teammate, a trusted friend. You can't run a school without people like Will Irby. Now that remark about running a school reminds me to recognize one of your underappreciated achievements. Along with other such illustrious heads of list as Braden West, Chris Angel, and of course, River Blunt. William is to be credited with the dramatic change in how the office is executed. Right? Thanks to him, we could no longer tolerate the old order. It was on his watch that we said to ourselves suddenly and collectively, things have to change. So I'll put it simply, if you love Kieran and Landy, you have William Irby to thank. Thank you, William. Come on up.
I'm now going to tell you two secrets about Michael Molaste. Number one, he exceeds every single member of the senior class in getting demerits for not showing up to athletics. His 7th grade year, never showed up. 8th grade year, he did more doghouse than he did sit-ups. Somewhere around 9th grade, though, he took to fitness. Really got into weightlifting. Every time we had the weights out to go do one of those crazy runs up and down the hills, Michael Molaste was the first guy there. And then I noticed when I'd leave, Michael Molaste would stay in the weight room. He'd still keep working out. Michael Molaste found something in that weight room. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure he knows what it was. But I think he found a part of himself doing that. Now, Michael hasn't shown up for athletics at all this year, so I think he's lost it. But Michael, you've had a tremendous influence on me, both in the classroom, outside the classroom, and I love working out with you. That's number one. But here's the most important part, number two. When I asked Michael what does he want in the back of his medallion, what do you think his answer was? Seniors, you know him. What was his answer? No. So I asked Max Chu what to put on. And you know what we have from, this is the number 2 secret about Michael Molaste. Taco Bell. Get ready for a good one. Here comes Dr. Human.
Thank you. So, I've been putting up with Jasmine for, it feels like 8, 10, 12 years, but I think it's only 4, and it's really only 3.5. But, Jasmine, you've made me feel like I lived so long in that space, I can't tell you. She really is among, though, my top 8 current advisees right now. So she's pretty good, but she has a few personal traits that are really annoying. So I want to share them with you because I want you to feel my pain. They're not that they're annoying in themselves, you understand. They're actually probably good traits, but they really impact my life, and so I want to complain. The first time I knew that Jasmine was going to be a problem was at first quarter grade meeting, her 9th grade year. She'd been placed in Mrs. Audette's English class. It was great. I'd been teaching my English class, English 9, 15 students, really pleasant. We had a rapport going on. I knew what they were going to say. I knew who would answer when I called on them. I knew who wouldn't. I'd really been able to stop paying attention in class, which was very pleasant for me. And then Jasmine showed ability. And she moved into English 9. 16 people. There wasn't even a spare seat. Frustrating. And you know what else she did? She had opinions. She had ideas. She had things I hadn't anticipated and then had to react to. I can't. She continued this. Many of you may not be aware of the fact that Jasmine decided at some point in 10th grade to just learn French, for fun, the way you do on the weekends when you can't think of any good TV to watch. And it may not seem to you that that really matters to you, right? Why shouldn't someone learn French? Last year, when the exam schedule was all weird, when you had to take exams, half the class one day, half the class the other day, that was Jasmine. I'd like us all to take a moment to glare at Jasmine and blame her. Good? Okay. If you have any other moments, personal ones, where Jasmine's drive to succeed, her love of knowledge, any of those things has adversely impacted you, now would be the moment to remember them and, give her a dirty look. So, Jasmine's into college. She's doing really well. Everything's great. She's probably thinking, I've got a quarter left at school. What could I do? How could I stimulate myself? Jasmine, I just want to remind you, you may not use any middle schoolers for scrap to construct a robot-human hybrid in the basement. That's out. I offer instead a course in Scots Gaelic. It says in 12 weeks, so with exams in 4th quarter, you should be able to be fluent. I know you're used to languages with more obvious usefulness, but nearly 1% of the population of Scotland speaks Scots Gaelic, and if you vacation in the Outer Hebrides, it'll be really important. I know this seems mean, but I can't think of anything more sort of quintessentially Jasmine than conspicuous consumption of education.
Dr. Troutman. Dr. Troutman? Dr. Troutman? Dr. Troutman?
Howdy. Robin, do you know where this is from? Not your scooter. Your scooter is from your injury. Do you get it? What is it? Where is it from? Red Dead, indeed. So I'm going to give you this. And I want you to choose the mustache of your choice. We have some great choices here that you're going to have to wear. So 1, the rogue. 2, the scoundrel. 3, Casanova. 4, party boy. And 5, the bandit. I also have some other gifts if you could put those on as well. All right, so Robin is known for many things, and we've just spent hours and hours and hours just talking constantly, because that's what we know about Robin. He loves just chatting it up all the time. And I've come to find that we had a few things in common that we could share. One is our love of video games, specifically one that involved a Western theme. Sorry. I will put this away. The second is our shared knee injuries, which has lent for a lot of common themes. I didn't get a scooter that lived its legacy past the knee injury, but you did, so you have gone a little bit above and beyond. And it's on that note that I think Robin leaves some important things here. He leaves legacy for sure. One is nobody will ever be able to forget the fateful physics movie that involved a scooter and the Doppler effect. Or how now a year past the knee injury, it's still on campus being used as of this morning. It has lived on. But I think what people might not realize is that Robin has left a legacy of language. If we look back, if you study the past of some words that are said around campus, they actually trace their way back to Robin. Has anybody heard the sad? That's Robin receiving either a physics or a calculus quiz years ago. How about this one? Nah. Also Robin. Don't confuse it with, oh no. Also Robin. That one is comparable to the, oh yeah. Also Robin. And then my favorite, see you. Also Robin. So what I think that teaches is that Robin has a history of legacy here that is going to live beyond him. One thing that he didn't quite accomplish is his legacy of kindness. Do you remember the lab report you wrote in physics class for your random act of kindness? Okay, well, I will explain. The material and procedure in this random act of kindness physics lab that Robin, yes, indeed, did turn in for a grade. 1, material to collect for this lab. A, healthy student. Alex was selected. Number 2, a random helping plan. Number 3, some random helping items. Procedure. Step 1, identify Alex's demand for help. He was extremely hungry on Saturday night, and he could not sign out because the bus was gone. Sad. Number 2, formulate a plan for helping Alex. I already ordered some food for myself, and I discovered he was desperate, so I decided to share a large portion of my food with him for no return. Oh, yeah. 3, make Alex accept my random act of kindness. Strange. I knocked on his door and told him to grab some food in my room. 4, record Alex's reaction. He was not surprised at all. He looked very calm on his face, and he ate my food relentlessly. Nah. So, Robin, I don't know if you actually got to 100% completion in the Red Dead game, but you know there are 2 major events that happen in the game, and I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but I'm going to give you a spoiler. 1, the hat is traded to the character for the final scene, right? Remember that? And 2, if you get to 100% completion, do you know what the quote is said? Now, it's at a graveyard, so maybe this isn't the apt analogy to use, but the quote is actually, I guess we're just about done here, my friend. Robin, come up and collect your medal.
Mr. Jesus, I think, is the one who assigns advisees to advisors, and she really never gives me 7th grade advisees. She hasn't given me many in the past 10 years. I think it might have something to do with my personality. I might be a little intense at times, and I scare away 7th graders. For example, Charles Bolton was my advisee last year. Gone. The last 7th grade advisee I had before Bolton, though, was Braden West. Now, I've tried my best to scare away Braden, but it hasn't worked. He's still here. Braden, of course, if I'm intense, Braden's the opposite. Braden is chill. He's so chill, if I'm part of God's chosen people, he's part of God's frozen people. That's how chill he is. And I wondered why Mr. Jesus would give me him as an advisee, because seventh graders, I don't have a lot in common with them. But then I started to figure this out. When Braden got here, he was already about 7'9". I mean, he was towering over us from the start. And I remember what it was like to be tall in high school and have hair. I didn't like it very much. I felt that everyone was looking at me, everyone was judging me, even when they weren't. They were probably looking right through me. But I felt that way. And I think maybe Braden felt that way too in the beginning. I begged him to play basketball his 7th grade year, his 8th grade year, and I really got no response. This was the response. Nothing. And then somewhere around his 9th grade year, I think in the fall, he would show up in the gym on his own and just start shooting. Now, the part about basketball that is problematic for Braden is it requires running too. And if you've seen Braden run, it's what a penguin looks like when one foot's been cut off. That hasn't changed very much. But his desire for basketball increased with every single year. And his high point, I think, was about a year ago. I foolishly scheduled a game during winter break when we had almost no one around. I had to dress little Garrett to play in that game. Sit down, Garrett. Actually, you can stand up, sit down. No one would know the difference with you. We were in a tight game with CBC, and they figured out Nandi was our great player. They put 3 guys on Nandi, and they decided to leave the Penguin running guy alone. That Penguin running guy scored 8 points in the 4th quarter and helped us do something I never thought would ever happen. We beat a CBC team. I mean, CBC has an enrollment of I don't know, like 5,000 boys, and we've got Braden. I mean, it's all. And that was his high point. He's been a great member of the team for years. Right up to the end, he was battling in practice every single time, got into a lot of games this year, and left his mark on us. Braden, it's been a pleasure to be your advisor and your coach. Come on up. Actually, I forgot. There's a reason he's sitting next to Michael Malast. Chick-fil-A. Oh, is Mr. Jesus around? Mr. Jesus. DJ? Oh, no. Some people take senior night just a little too seriously.
Hi, Rosie. Would you say you were in a sling at one point? Oh, okay, so we got the wrist brace. Okay. I could have sworn I saw you in a sling at some point, but nothing with the foot? Okay, that must be me then. Getting old. Okay. But here's the funny thing. In the 4 years that Rosie has played varsity volleyball for me, this past season was the only season she managed not to get hurt. We were so excited. So in the other 3 seasons, we are busy trying to, cover for her while she's healing as fast as she can. And she's there supporting the team, which is great. So, and then when she comes back on the floor, she's ready to go. And that's what I love about Rosie. Her dedication to, for me personally, the sport of volleyball. You have been a steadfast back row player, and I am so thankful for you to have been part of the team and having me be able to coach you, okay? But here's the better part. And I was reminded by your teammates, because we couldn't figure it out. We were in our championship game the first time that TJ was in a championship volleyball game against Eagle Ridge. Say boo, boo. And we lost the first set. We were playing pretty well in the second set. And then we had that mental breakdown, as we usually do at some point, and we're having to play catch-up. I don't even know the name of that person on Eagle Ridge who was just like a hitting monster at us. Yeah, Jesse, is that it? Yep. But here's the catch. In that second set, Jessie was hitting him like crazy, and she was getting him all up. She was our digging monster that sent us into the third set. So we took Eagle Ridge to 3 sets because of you. So, great job. You can tell even when you're watching her playing. Okay? Now, I believe you also got injured in soccer at some point. Yeah, okay, we'll get into that one later. But there are some really cool things about Rosie also that has nothing to do with volleyball. Does anybody know that she's a really good cook? So, I hear you make a fantastic Thanksgiving dinner. That's what we talk about, right? We're still trying to get her to bring something to third lunch for us so that we can have dessert or something. So you're still on the hook for that. And then there's stuff here that you guys all do know about her. You know she is very kind. You know she's very supportive of everyone. And you know that she will be there for you whenever you needed her. Okay? That is better than digging up all the balls for me. And I hope you continue to be that wonderful person that you are. All right? But I have to go back to something else. Can I have that bag, please? I need you up here, Rosie. This is survival for soccer. Please wrap it around yourself so you don't get hurt. Okay? And with whatever you have left over, you can use to pack up when you go off to college. Okay? But we're not finished. This is a first aid kit. Maybe it will keep parts of you together. Can we do that? Okay, there's lots of Band-Aids and things like that, so you can just string them all together. Okay? So, I'll miss you, kiddo. We are both short. I'm very proud of it.
If you happen to watch Celebrity Roast, they usually have old timers give a lot of the speeches, but they always bring some rookie on to break that person in. We have 2 senior night rookies about to take the stage. The first one is Ashley Troutman.
Hello. Yes, you might be wondering, is the right Troutman standing up here right now? When Sam made his choice for senior night, he just wrote down Troutman. So it's a fair assumption to think, oh, Dr. T. I mean, he did teach Sam in 2 classes, and he's been his coach in robotics for the past 4 years, and I can't even imagine the countless hours they've spent just chatting away at those competitions and in the car. But either way, the better Troutman is standing up here right now, so it's a win-win for everyone. No, but so Sam was in my digital arts class for 2 years, and he made some amazing work. Super creative and just always impressed me. In his second year, we started off with a few assignments that were review. So he, of course, flew through those, and we decided that we would do a self-led project. So Sam chose modeling to kind of dive into. And no, it's not that kind of modeling, although that would have been a fun choice, right? But no, he chose to take an object and make it from scratch in 3D and animate it. Okay, so I was thinking, great, Sam, that's a great idea. Go for it. Let's see what you can do. I was thinking he would create, a piece of furniture or a fruit or a lamp or something. No, he came back with a full-on hunter rifle, and it was animated with bullets being loaded and shot. When he showed it to me, I was like, wow, Sam, this is great. And what I was thinking was, should I be worried about how much Sam had to look at guns for this? And then, I don't know, Sam, do you remember our weekly critiques we had in digital arts? Everyone had to show their work each week, and we'd all give feedback. Of course, Sam loved that. But we would say something like, hey, this ball bounce looks a little slow. You should speed it up, or you might want to fix the timing here. And he would be like, okay. So we weren't quite sure if he agreed with us or not. So I would be like, all right, well, we'll see what he comes back with next week. He came back with, not only did he come back with those changes made, it was pretty much a full-length feature film. So when I saw it, I was like, wow, great progress. This is amazing. And what I was thinking was, I should probably quit next year, and because I don't have anything left to teach him, and he's going to want to take my class again. But no, seriously, Sam's definitely, that determination and spirit is something to admire. And I see that in robotics too. And, sometimes we all know he's not one to be chatty, but one of the jobs he has in robotics is to be a coach. And so in coaching, that means he stands down at the pit during the matches behind the drivers. And, the coach is supposed to say, like, oh, you have 10 seconds left in this match, or you have time to go pick up this block, or, oh, it's time to start the in-game process. I imagine Sam's coaching style would be more like, the match is over. And then what I'm sure he was really thinking was, rotate 10 degrees left, rotate up this way, move left 5 degrees. Our team is beating us by 12 points. Oh, but we have 35 seconds left. We're going to win by 42-36, and then we have 10 minutes and 32 seconds left till our next match. And that's probably what he'd be thinking. But no, Sam, you just never cease to amaze me in digital arts. Your drive and determination, and then also just your sense of humor was just so surprising every day. And you're an absolute joy to teach, and you really make me miss teaching that class here. I hope you never lose that sense of humor you have and that determination. Come up and get your medal, Sam.
No one really associates the word shy with Carlos Burgos, and with good reason. Mr. Burgos, come on up.
Luis Eduardo Castellanos Perez. Did I pronounce that right? There was a moment in our 3 years together where I found it extremely difficult to not consider you my favorite student. Then I saw you sitting with some of your peers, like David, Robin, Alex, and quickly realized it wasn't so difficult after all. I decided to spare you from any jokes pertaining to your ethnicity because I figured our guest speaker last year did enough Hispanic roasting to the both of us. Instead, I would like to share a story of the one and only time you were legitimately mad at me. You appear so cool, calm, and collected. I can only hope this story reignites some of your anger for everyone else to see. On the all-school trip, Louise asked me if I wanted to be his canoeing partner through the wetlands. Sounded like a logical choice, considering I was one of the only people with canoeing experience. What Louise didn't know at the time is my desire to face danger head-on. The amount of Asian carp shooting out of the water was something out of a horror film. We had students who fell victim to the carp, being submerged under the swamp water. Hanson, Max. Louise thought best to go around the flying fish, but it wasn't his call to make. You see, the person in the back of the canoe controls the direction, and the only direction I plan on going was straight for them. Louise pleaded for us to go around, but my mind was already made up. Fish were flying over, around, and into our canoe. Louise screamed for mercy, but it only seemed to encourage them more as they flew out of the water, slapping Louise with their fishtails. When we finally made it to shore, I could tell Louise was visibly upset. The reason I know this is because he was verbally upset as well. He could not understand why I would put us in such a situation. Well, one, it was hilarious. And two, you will easily forget the time you went canoeing and avoided Asian carp. What you won't forget is the time you faced the Asian carp head on and made a story out of it. This is a lesson for all you seniors. Life is about confronting challenges head on. If you get knocked down, slapped, or feel like you are submerged in the swampiest of water, remember that there is no challenge too big in this life that you can't overcome. Louise, we never had the opportunity to speak much Spanish together, so I wanted to leave you with this. Tú eres la luz que este mundo necesita desesperadamente. Continúa oyendo a tu mente, dirige con tu corazón y brillarás.
I guess it's ironic that I switched the batteries for this for the microphone because our next speaker really doesn't need a microphone to project. Dr. Human.
So if you guys want to kick back for a bit, you can, because I'm really just going to do what I've been doing in grade letters for the last 4 years and change Jasmine's name from Michelle's, because it kind of works a lot of the time. These little efficiencies you learn. Take notes, take shortcuts where you can, guys. Michelle has actually been with me the entire time I've been at TJ, and it's exciting to think that next year she won't be here. I'm really kind of looking forward to it. I think that my annual chocolate costs may actually go down substantially, and so if one of you guys could remind me to update my spreadsheet tomorrow, that'd be great, or Monday, that'd be great. I think Michelle has actually been really good for me. You guys may not have noticed this about me, but I'm a really high-stress person. I get super wound up in things, and I just can't calm down. And Michelle is just so steady. She's so calm, so cool, so relaxed about everything. I just don't know how she does it. I can't tell you how many times she's come into my office, and I've been sobbing because of something that happened in study hall, or because I have to grade another set of quizzes, or because Mrs. Peroni has been really mean to me. And she's just there, steady as a rock, immovable, unflappable. It's amazing. She's navigated the various ups and downs of adolescence with the stiffest of stiff upper lips. She never lets anything get to her. Many students groan or complain when I hand out a quiz, but not Michelle. The thought of squeaking in terror or moaning, "No!" or announcing that she's an orange and oranges don't have to sit exams has never, ever crossed Michelle's mind. She can do something as ridiculous as accidentally misplace Morocco by a continent and a half and just not even wince. Not say to Mr. Smith, "Please don't tell Dr. Human about that. She will embarrass me," because Michelle just doesn't care. She is stoic. So here's the problem. College is stressful. And I don't think that at TJ we've really helped Michelle develop coping mechanisms. I don't think she understands how to deal with stress. So I want to take a few minutes to pass on what I know. It's literally two things. I don't know that much about managing stress. The first is deep breathing. You have to remember to take that deep breath, feel the calm spread throughout your body, and then remember to let it out again, because otherwise you die. The second, and I really can't stress this one enough, this has gotten me through a lot, is punching something. So ideally you should choose something soft and forgiving, a pillow, a punching bag, Mr. Smith. But Michelle, and I need to emphasize this, on no account should you punch a wall, because that tends to have seriously negative effects on the bones of your hand and doesn't go well. And genuinely, that's all I've got. I'd probably do better if you'd actually caused me any real stress over the years. I probably would have developed something. And as you head off to college, I want to give you something to help with stress. They're stress balls. You can use them now, or you can use them as physical therapy after you've punched a wall.
When Dr. Troutman and I were office mates 5 or 6 years ago, we would trade stories about who was the worst high school student. Now, I got D's. I didn't try hard at all. Michael Hansen. I was a terrible high school student. Dr. T, I think, won the contest, so he was even worse. I mean, by his own admission. We just were terrible. So after a while, we started to think about our colleagues, and we came up with a theory. Every high school teacher was some kind of failure in high school in one way or the other. I don't know if that's true to the degree that we were, but maybe socially, athletically. And one reason maybe you want to come back to teach in high school is to make up for those years that you messed up in the first place. But I can tell you, after 20 years or so, that doesn't keep you in the job, because you've probably figured out what you did wrong, and you've passed on your knowledge to somebody else, and you've seen students like Michael Hansen turn the corner and do a better job and find their direction in life. What keeps you here after so many years are the students. Oliver Schoenborn is one of those students. I think because of the high temperatures, there's a danger of a lot of pollen in the gym. So if my eyes start to tear or something, I'm not crying, it's just the pollen. Oliver Schoenborn. I've been at this job now for almost 30 years. I've racked my brains. No student has made me wonder who I am, who we are, and what we all are more than you. A second ago, Dr. Heumann said, imagine the school without Michelle Lee, and boy, it's going to be a lot quieter when she's gone. And then I tried to imagine what my life is going to be like without you, because for the last 6 years, in class, out of class, a little bit in the gym, not so much, but certainly at lunch and all around, our conversations they don't leave me. And the best thing about you, I think, is you don't have any answers. You just have a hell of a lot of good questions, and you make me wonder those questions. So I wonder, what will my life be like next year without you? And what will all of our lives be like next year without you? And I think I concluded in the past 30 seconds, and it sounds callous and cold, but it shouldn't. It won't make a difference. It won't make a difference that you're gone, because you have borne so deeply into all of us, we cannot get rid of you, even though graduation will send you out our doors. So if you come up here before I really start crying and get your medallion. Now, we've been at senior night for 22 years. Sometimes students are here, sometimes aren't here. Jeremy Boyd won the Arte Award in 2017. He wasn't even here to accept his award. So tonight, Ryan couldn't make it, but Mrs. Roth is going to give a quick speech on Ryan's behalf.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one that makes him cry. Part of what makes senior night so special to me is that we give ourselves this space to reflect on the qualities in each one of these individual seniors that we admire. That might look like Mr. Roth poking fun at you guys, but that's what this is about. And we see these qualities in you guys every day, but when we're on our daily hamster wheels, sometimes we kind of look past them and don't give them the attention they deserve. So I'm glad we get to do this. One thing we can't look past ever is Ryan in the corner of the dining hall in his spot every day, but I'll come back to that. This event, yes, is for and about the seniors, but I want to address this to the rest of the students because this event is also for and about you. This is a chance for you to look at your friends, celebrate the things you admire in them, but also be reminded of what those qualities are in them that deserve to be emulated, right? Except perhaps in the case of those who raise your hand, if you were on the devil's, not the angel's side for your demerits, Victoria, right? So perhaps don't emulate those things. So Ryan isn't here tonight, but I really wanted to have a chance to reflect on what I think are the qualities in him that I think we could all really benefit from cultivating in ourselves every day. As I mentioned, we all know that he parks himself every afternoon in that back table in the dining room, studying or watching Netflix or whatever it is that he's doing back there. And before that, it was the nook in front of the elevator in Sayers. That was Ryan's space. But I think his choice to root himself in these spaces speaks to two of the keys of his success here as a student. He knows that routine is what it comes down to, and to setting boundaries, knowing what's okay, knowing what's not okay, where he needs to be. And I think that those are two things that we could all benefit from, and routines especially. I'm looking at my 4 senior advisees. You have 3 months left. Routine. Stick with it. So I hope that even though Ryan's not here, we can think about those qualities in him and work on them in ourselves. I understand, Dr. T, where are you, Dr. T, that you are being made to move out of our office next year. Is that right? So if I were you, I would start maneuvering now for that back table in the dining room because I think the 7th graders have their eyes on it. So, yeah. All right.
We do have one more first-timer, and that's Mr. Lippert, who's going to come down right now.
Well, this is my first time to do this. And when Victoria asked me to do it, Victoria, what did you tell me? And keep it short, like 15 seconds. So, Victoria, you're wonderful. That's it. No, seriously. 2,900? Wow. I had to write it down. So, Victoria really is a natural leader. She's not afraid to take responsibility in any activity that she is impassioned with. She's been my student director for the all-school play twice. Her attention to detail and creative eye make her invaluable in the shows, and I appreciate that a lot. After teaching her scenic design for 4 years, really, Victoria, 4 years? There's nothing else you want to take besides scenic design? After 4 years, she's really become a go-to mentor for her less experienced classmates. Just this week, she was teaching another student how to make the model for the 8th grade play, and they both ended up with all 10 digits and no bloodshed yet. That was using X-Acto knives. DJ commented that on the volleyball court this year, Victoria's skills flourished. She was a great hitter, had a strong serve, and a hard spike. In basketball, I saw you be aggressive. You caused turnovers. You were taking long shots. There are a few times I was concerned that you'd injure those precious hands with college auditions coming up so close, just some of those games a week before, which brings me to music. It would be impossible to ignore the astounding sound that emanates from the piano when she's sitting at the keys. In fact, sometimes it's even better than Mr. Roth. I've been Victoria's advisor for 3 years, and I've heard many comments about Victoria from other teachers. Now, if we could just get you to wake up on time and to class, just think, next year there'll be no more demerits for missed meals or late assignments. 2,900? Wow. Since I won't be there to prod you at college, I'm going to give you a little piece of technology that'll take my place. See if I can get it to ring. It's really flexible. It can be set to remind you of all sorts of things beyond just breakfast time. It can send you to class. It can remind you of getting papers turned in, or even it's time to go to bed. Oh. Victoria, you and I have been through a lot together the last 4 years, and we share a lot of great memories. Have a wonderful time in college next year. No one at TJ doubts that you will excel at anything that you have a passion for.
The boys varsity basketball team had a year that was unreckoned in TJ history. They won 24 out of 26 games, and the memories just go on forever. We had the dunk by Nandi in the first game, destroying Liberty in their gym, blowing out teams left and right. But if I polled the boys varsity players and asked them what is their greatest memory of the year, I suspect they would say it was Bill Zhu. When he hit that backwards upside-down shot against Maryville in this gym, they're shaking their head. It was an angle that only no one could figure out how he squeezed that shot off. And it almost never happened because I asked Bill in October to make a choice. I told Bill, I got a really, really good team this year. You're not going to play very much. You stay on JV, you'll get a lot of playing time. You can work on your crazy shots all you want. And he looked me in the eye and said, I want to be on varsity. Well, I took that as a challenge. So the first day in practice, I did nothing but yell at Bill. And the second day of practice, I still yelled at Bill. In fact, every day in practice, I yelled at Bill. He kept messing things up. But he stayed. He never quit. He was ready to come in the fourth quarter. He went to the right spots. And then he did what only Bill can do. He saw angles that no one else could possibly see. Probably they are not good shots to take at any level of basketball, Bill. But for you, they were great. You have a vision that your peers might not have. I certainly don't have. And I think it's confirmed every time we see you in those crazy get-ups on cabaret night. So can you stand up here and come get your medallion? Let me just see who's up next. Oh, Mr. Smith, please.
Michelle, Ma. Michelle Slewboy's Ma. I have been called soft and forgiving. The gloves have to come off at a certain point. So there's an air of mystery that comes from having spent a lot of time elsewhere. And Michelle certainly cultivated it with her slew sweatshirts and her attending slew dances. And I thought, what's wrong with our boys, right? Why not Michelle TJ Boy's Ma? I mean, we've got William, for example. Since you haven't been here all that long, I'm somewhat limited in the things I know to say. I have taught you French, though, and I can say that Michelle is one of the most impressive learners of the language I've ever seen. I think Dr. Holkamp would feel the same way, feel similarly. You speak beautifully. You even sing French beautifully. Did you guys hear her at cabaret night? Well, you know who's behind that. I'll give you a hint. He's from somewhere a lot farther away than SLU. So Michelle enjoys the immensely valuable experience of regular language practice with a native speaker. And his name, you know what his name is? Pierre. Pierre. I have to suggest, if you were to invent a French boyfriend, Pierre? That's like inventing, I don't know, an American high school teacher named Mr. Smith, right? Speaking of languages, I should probably point out that it's likely due to you that we have this renewed fervor in enforcing the English only in Maine rule. If you've ever heard Michelle fighting with her parents over the phone, you would probably agree that it's best that we not know what's being said. I'll keep my own language simple. Thanks for all you have brought to TJ. Et bonne chance dans tes prochaines aventures.
When I first met Nandi Levi, I thought this is the biggest goofball I've ever seen in my life. He was in my Greek class and my algebra class at the same time, and on no day in the first semester did he actually turn in homework for both classes. It was Greek one day, it was math one day, or more likely it was neither on either of either of them. I was so flummoxed by him, I made him a bet. I said, Nandi, I'll play you one-on-one in basketball. If I win, you got to do your homework every single day. And if you win, I'll put you on varsity. Now, I saw him play a few times in the gym. I didn't think he was good. He had these Harry Carey glasses on. He's bouncing the ball like this. I thought, I'm going to get this guy to do a lot of Greek. We were standing right over there. I don't even warm up. I give him the ball. Figure I'm just going to destroy him. And he shoots a three-point shot right in my face. But I figure, beginner's luck. Give him the ball again. I stand back to dare him to do it a second time. And he put it right in my face. And I thought two things. One, I'm going to have to work really, really hard to get this guy to do Greek. And B, he's got to be on varsity right now. And he was on varsity. And the record he left for us is practically unmatched. It's kind of hard to get perspective on how many points constitutes a great career, but until Nandi played here, only one TJ student that I'm aware of ever scored more than 1,000 points in his high school career. Nandi's the second. He ended up with roughly 1,400 points, give or take. There's that Webster game that didn't get in the books last year. It's 1,399, but I'm pretty sure it's 1,400. But the bigger thing than that is how many games he won. I totaled this up this afternoon. In Nandi's 4 years on varsity, that team won 65 games. I think I went a whole decade without winning 65 games when I started, and a lot of that was because of Nandi. On his medallion, he has GO8T. You see, humility is not really written into Nandi's DNA so easily. He thinks he's the greatest of all time. And in terms of scoring, I'm sorry, you're the second greatest TJ player of all time. But in terms of winning, no one's won more than you. Nandi and I used to have this running debate. Who was the better basketball player, Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell? Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points in the game. He averaged 50 points in a season. And he won 2 championships, and Bill Russell won a whole ton. Nandi, you might not be the scorer of Wilt Chamberlain, but you've taken us to victories just like Bill Russell. Come stand on up here. I need to add one thing, too. He did destroy me in that game, but then we played a second time, and I absolutely killed you, and you know it. It's true. Okay. All right, Mrs. Peroni, where are you? Come on up. I'll be in there. I'll have to kill the lights, I guess, so just wave to me when the lights are.
Hello. So a couple days ago, I was in my office with Dr. Human. We were chatting about senior night. She was telling me some of her ideas about her speeches and asked me what I was going to do, what I had prepared. And I was like, I haven't really prepared anything. And she gave me this look like, really? And I was like, well, I have things to say about Hansen. I have many things to say about Hansen. It's not going to take a lot of time. What might take time is paring down the things I have to say about Hansen. What first comes to mind is intro bio. It's what I first taught him. And grading quizzes that year and double graders was terrible. It was a really bright class. I remember we got through the material so quickly. We went in so much depth. It was really exciting. And I'd be going through my quizzes, and everyone would be doing really well, and then I would get to Hansen's. And the answer was just nothing like I expected. It was nothing we went over in class. So my first instinct is just, put an X by it and take off points. I turn it back, and then he'd come argue with me, and he would show me all of the places on the internet, all of these scholarly sources and the citations of citations to show that his answer was actually correct and a much deeper answer than I had been expecting. And by the end of the year, I just wanted to check off all of his answers to avoid those arguments. But after my conversation with Dr. Human, I thought maybe I should think a little deeper and put something together. So I did. How do you pull the thing off? Oh, there you go. Okay. So here I have my very impressive and formal Hansen presentation to confirm my intelligence here in front of all of you. So I started not by thinking about what I know about Hansen, but what the internet knows about Hansen, because that is the best place to start. Well, there's a lot of random stuff. Wikipedia is a good place. I wouldn't cite Wikipedia, of course not. But it's a good place to start gathering some information, so I went there. Okay. It's little. There's some interesting places with your name. This I thought was fascinating. It turns out Hansen's disease is another name for leprosy. Right? Okay. So that's super interesting. I decided to key in on that because it has to do with science and medicine, and I could make a really fancy graph. There's my graph. Oh, wait. Air bars. Very impressive. And not just air bars, but in order to make this graph, calculations. Lots of calculations. I could explain them to you, but it would take much too long, and only Hansen would understand. Okay, but I have gone on a tangent. This is supposed to be a roast. So I had to readjust. I should have searched Hansen roast, not Hansen. It turns out there's a lot of stuff about Hansen and meat processing. So I made another graph, in case you're interested. But in all honesty, I've seen a side of Hansen. A lot of people haven't. You can't see it very well, but it's Hansen from the Galapagos trip. I learned some things that I am now going to share with you. Be excited. Okay. If Hansen's talking, you should probably listen. We had this task on the beach one day to jump through this jump rope thing, right? Lots of fun. We were there for a pretty long time. And this is Hansen I should share this with the whole student body later so they can see it close. He's trying to explain to everyone what to do, and everyone is not listening. We did not successfully complete that task. Our instructors gave up on us after a while. But I think had we listened, we would have been able to do it, right? You had some good insights. Okay. Hanson doesn't like his picture taken, I learned, as I was trying to take everybody's picture to show their parents. This is actually a picture of Braden, and Hanson is behind the pole. You also don't like your picture taken, but you were in this one. Number three thing I learned is don't play ping pong with Hanson, because he's really good, and he'll say mean things to you. Okay. Mr. Peroni says that you're not as good as he is also. So, just throw that out there. Okay, and the final thing I learned is he is a master packer. It's crazy. We were on this trip for 10 days, right? I thought I did a good job. I had this like enormous duffel bag. He had this tiny little backpack. This one tiny, you couldn't even fit all of your school books in this backpack. And that was it. That was all he needed for the 10 days. So, based on everything I've learned about Hanson, I think he is well prepared for college because, A, he's been doing college-level research since before 9th grade. And B, it will take him like 3 minutes to pack up all of his belongings in his little itty-bitty tiny backpack. Thank you, Hanson.
This is senior night, and we obviously honor and remember our seniors, but they're not the only ones who are going to be gone next year. The other person who's going to be gone, we're going to ask to sit down and join the seniors right now, and that's Dr. Holtkamp. Dr. Troutman, if you will.
So I get pretty nervous for a lot of these senior night speeches. I will say this takes it to a new level. There's just a little bit of discomfort in having to do this to your boss, but we will do our best as we navigate through this. So I thought about how to structure this talk, and I thought first, as the leader of the school, perhaps we should look to leaders of this country and start by looking at presidential administrations, and I was going to theme it compared to the presidential administrations. And then I realized two things. Number one, I don't know much about presidential administrations beyond what has been on shows like The Simpsons. Number two, no matter what I say about the presidential administrations, I guarantee that I will hear from Ms. Fairbank and Dr. Human that I got something wrong. So I said, let's forget about that. I will use the background of Dr. Holtkamp. I will look to French history. I realized two things. Number one, I don't know much about French history. Number two, if you search French history, you quickly get to Napoleon. That might be awkward to compare to, especially the going to the island and overthrowing the government. There's a lot there that I wanted to avoid. So instead, I thought about my journey along with Dr. Holtkamp. We started the same year. We came in to the first day of school, and it was both of our first days of school. Now, back then, I could tell that Dr. Holtkamp knew that I had something in terms of future potential. And that's why she put me next to her office currently Mr. Boarding's office. It was also a great way to get to know TJ because the person directly across from that office is Miss Fairbank. That didn't work out too well. I think she was a little worried that I might take over sooner rather than later. So she said, away to the 3rd floor with Mr. Roth. If he survives this, maybe there's something there. So I did. I survived and went down, graduated from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor. I will say in my time, I have never learned as much memory work, as much Greek, had as much wonderful conversations in that time. So it was a wonderful experience. My journey has been very different than the ones that I think students may have had in that same amount of time with Dr. Holtkamp. If you think about when are the times when you experience Dr. Holtkamp, it would be 1, if you took her French class on skip days. Nobody likes the substitute teacher, so it's kind of set up for a really difficult situation. Number 2, starting assembly. Everybody loves assembly, right? Another, and Kieran loves it. Number 3, Super JC. That is a wonderful experience that, of course, nobody in this room has ever experienced. And number 4, graduation, which we all just admit is a wonderful experience that just goes on and on and on and on and on. And is really not for students. I'm sorry, it's kind of for you, but it's really for your parents. You'll find out, and you'll just have to sit on the stage. So if you think about those different times where Dr. Holtkamp has been viewed by students, it really sets up for one type of image. Somebody who's telling you what to do it in Super JC, somebody who is telling you what to do at assembly, somebody who is telling you what to do in all areas of the school. But I see something very different. And it's a side that you haven't had an opportunity to see. And it's the behind the scenes work that has set up a foundation. There's so much there from work with the board, work with students, professionalizing the organization. Do you know who was my equivalent to a HR rep back in my first year? It was DJ and Miss Fairbank. They were the people that I would go to for health insurance questions. Yikes. So there's been a lot of work behind the scenes that you don't see. But I can say that she has done a lot to leave a foundation. She has given so much to this school that you will see only if you dig deeper, and I encourage you to do that. She has left me with the opportunity to take this school to a new place, to be special, to be something that is even greater than what we are currently. And there's nothing I can do to repay that, but I can offer 2 things. 1, I can get rid of the bell, right? We can get rid of the bell. You hate the bell. Let's get rid of the bell. 2, I know you have concerns over your portrait. So I have gone online and found the best artist a teacher's salary can buy and put it into a frame, the best frame a teacher's salary can buy. And now we can hang up the new portrait across from all of the founders of TJ. So that's one thing. And Mr. Roth has also been thoughtful to offer another gift. We don't have a medal, but we have an Arte hoodie with number 4 for the 4th head of school. Dr. Holtkamp, please come up and collect your...
We'd like you to stay here the rest of the night. I can't believe this is the last time a D is going to be announced at senior night. The great church that comes in, Mrs. Roth, please come on up.
So April stopped by our office one day. I guess it was probably the day you asked the seniors to decide what they wanted on their medal. And she wanted to know what we thought she should put on her medal. And without even looking at each other, Dr. T and I blurted out the same answer, a question mark. So she chose the question mark because she always listens to her advisor. Or maybe because it was just such an unexpected, weird moment. Or maybe, April, it's because you actually identify with the question mark. I know this is going to come as a shock to many of you, but April has kind of a hard time making decisions. So she's developed a kind of methodology. When confronted with a decision, she asks as many people as possible what their opinion is, and then, I don't know, she chooses the most popular one, or she says, Aaron Lee told me to do this, so I'm going to do the opposite, something like that. After all, I mean, it's safer when someone else makes a choice, right? If it turns out to be a good decision, you win. If it turns out to be a bad decision, you didn't make it. It was their choice. But the need to make decisions, April, is never going to go away. And the discomfort of making them is never going to go away. I would argue, though, that you are actually very practiced in successful decision making. You are just used to doing it in the context of a team. And you like being part of a team for a lot of good reasons. One, you are a very talented athlete and you contribute in a positive, useful way to every team you're on. Two, you're an extrovert and it gives you this built-in way to be surrounded by people. And three, whether you win or whether you lose, you've got this group to experience the joy or the disappointment alongside of you. But guess what? You are also your own team. And you are also your own best coach of that team of one. And I know this because of the toughness that you display every time you get out there on the basketball court or the volleyball court and you tear down there making those crazy layups that you make, or every time you get up in front of a room full of people and sing with that beautiful voice of yours. You put yourself out there consistently, even though it can make you uncomfortable sometimes, for the sake of a team and for the sake of your own sense of accomplishment. So I'm going to change my suggestion for what you should put on your medal. You take it out of there. I have something for you. Come here. Open that up. Do you know what that is? It's called an Interrobang. And Carter, is Carter here? Do not for a second think you should be using that in your OR. Okay? All right. So an Interrobang is a question mark with an exclamation point inside, right? And I want you to think of that as in a couple of different ways. First, I wanted to remind you that when you are presented with a question or choice, it's exciting. You don't have to choose, you get to choose. And second, I want you to look at it visually. I want you to see that question mark, right? And see this little thing down the middle? That's you. You are at the center of every decision you make. Your choices, your desires, your best interests. You know what they are, and they're right in the middle of that question waiting for you. So my hope for you next year and every year is that you feel excited about the fact that you get to create your future with every question you answer for yourself. Get your medal.
It looks as if Mr. Burgos is really dressed for the occasion. Come on down, Mr. Burgos. Which way to the beach, Mr. Burgos? Which way to the beach?
Hey, man, So we had to delay his speech so his entourage could get here. So a round of applause for Michael B., Jeremy, Cody. They drove 6 hours today to get here, so I needed to deliver an excellent speech. And I didn't want my sleeves to get in the way. Do you even work out? According to multiple sources, you might be the worst student TJ has ever seen when it comes to attending fitness. Your excuses for not showing up are like your arms. Weak and flimsy. Do you remember our first interaction? We were outside of Blue 2 with your brother Jeremy and Michael B. And with great enthusiasm and a face that was less than convincing, you told me you could dunk a basketball. Although the joke lacked creativity, I appreciated your attempt to make your younger brother and his Ethiopian friend laugh. This was the first time I thought you were a senior. Aaron and now older brother Jeremy are the only students in TJ history that signed on to be 0-day international boarding students. You guys were off campus so much that Miss Correa told us to stop logging you as out in the duty report. Every week you would tell me that you were moving back on campus, and every week I didn't believe you. I kept thinking, what a way to spend your senior year. Last year, I remember sitting down with you and expressing how much I appreciated the time we have spent together, and that your vibrant personality, genuine kindness, and respect for everyone you encounter would serve you well as you move on to college. If I'm speaking honestly, a tear nearly ran down my cheek, only for you to tell me that you were a junior. This was the second time I thought you were a senior. This school year, I had the opportunity to visit South Korea. Better yet, I had the privilege of getting a day tour of Seoul with several of our South Korean students. Prior to the day, Aaron kept texting me that he had all this stuff planned out. When I asked what we'd be doing, he always responded with, "It's a surprise." I assumed it was code for he had no plan. I couldn't have been further from the truth. From mountain climbing, losing Aaron and Alex halfway up the mountain with no source of communication because Aaron left his cell phone in my backpack. Remember that, Jeremy? Drinking tea, shooting off guns, eating local food at the market, bowling, and so much more. It was a day I will never forget. Now you sit before us today, a senior, and I'm not entirely convinced you are one. Selfishly, I want to be wrong one more time, but I know you are more than ready for the next chapter in your life. You represent TJ in all of the best ways, and it has been an absolute honor being your RA, mentor, and friend. I think it is only fitting that you finish your time at TJ with a slam dunk. So come up here. Do you want an alley-oop? Okay.
I'd like to ask all of you a question to think about for a second. If I gave you 2 minutes and 29 seconds to do anything, what could you accomplish in 2 minutes and 29 seconds? Now, you could pop popcorn, probably. If you're really good at Rubik's Cube, you could solve a Rubik's Cube in 2:29. A whole bunch of things you can think of right now you could do in 2 minutes and 29 seconds. Max Chu fouled out of a basketball game in 2 minutes and 29 seconds. If you know nothing about basketball, it takes more than 2 minutes and 29 seconds. It takes 22 minutes and 29 seconds. Max Chu walked on the floor last year against someone and just knocked people over like they were bowling pins. Max Chu. They would have taken our license away for athletics if I played you any longer. Max Chu, however, is what you need if you want to have a successful basketball team. Because Max Chu is willing to do anything you ask in practice. Max Chu is the first guy to stand up on the bench and congratulate a player hand in water. Max Chu is what a friend looks like. Max Chu, do you remember I had Mr. Colson come to the locker room to talk to the team after a victory? You probably don't remember what he said because he used words with more than 3 syllables, yes? Do you remember what I said afterwards? Of course not. You never paid attention to anything I said. So the reason Mr. Colson is really dear to me is because he's an old friend. Not because he's old and a friend, it's because I knew him many, many years ago. I'm now too old to make new old friends. But you're not. And none of you are, and none of you are. And if you're looking to find someone to be your friend when you're my age, look no further than Max Chu. Come on up, Max Chu. Usually on nights like these, we save the least for last, and it's really no exception. Mr. Smith, will you come talk about Paige?
To be honest, I don't expect much of a response because Paige told us last year in advisory that all of her friends were seniors. Right? They're long gone. Some of them are back. Right? Those who aren't seniors are in Cape. No way to get in touch with them. And this Thomas about whom we have heard so much, of course, he couldn't be here. So I texted him. I didn't really learn a whole heck of a lot. Let's see here. Deathly afraid of insects. This one's kind of nice. He mentioned your way of scrunching your nose when you laugh. All right. Okay, and then there's the suggestion that sometimes you take things too seriously. If only I had an illustration. The tennis court incident, in which you tried to convince Peyton and River that tennis involves more running than track does. Oh, I got it all detailed in an email, so I can show you what you said. So in that argument, you even gave the precise surface area of a tennis court. Right? Not surprisingly, that fact only served to further encourage your friends. Patience ebbed, tempers rose, tension escalated, and Paige, well, she didn't show the maturity that we have seen since. We'll leave it at that. But where would we be? Where would we be without that intensity? Or if we're thinking in terms of athletics, that competitive fire. And that's not just a platitude. Our own Dr. Troutman shared with me the fact that you were only 1 goal behind TJ's all-time leading scorer in girls soccer. We still have a season left ahead of us. Where would Radium Girls or Moon Over Buffalo have been without the form that intensity takes on stage? I don't have an artful or a clever transition into this last memory I want to share, but it's been on my mind quite a bit. My very first phone call as a member of the TJ faculty was to your mother to introduce myself. You somehow were already behind on OR. Right? Whatever you were up to in the background, I could hear you. This is what I remember. Whatever you were up to, it was frantic and physical and kind of distracting. And I don't mind admitting that I'm a little afraid of how quiet I expect it to be here without you. In so many ways over the past 6 years, you have made your voice heard, presence felt, and you will be missed. So thank you, Paige.
We have 3 final presentations, and because that pizza smells so good, I'll try to make them as quick as possible. Usually it's 2, but this year is a special year. It is the last year Dr. Holtkamp has been with us. And Dr. Troutman spoke so much about all the things she's done behind the scenes. I just want to add one. When Dr. Holtkamp first came in, she interviewed, I think, all of us for about an hour or so, just to figure out what we do well and what we'd like to see about the school, how we'd like to grow, what our vision is. And we spent a lot of time talking about athletics. And the takeaway from that meeting has been what's been the same for the past decade. She said, make the thing grow, put it in its place, and give great experience to the kids. There's 10,000 different things an administrator can tell an athletic director about athletics. Bring in more money, cut back, do all sorts of things. She trusted us to put athletics in our hands and then to put it in your hands. Dr. Holtkamp, you've given us nothing but sweet memories in athletics over these years. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Number 2, every year the Post-Dispatch asks every high school in St. Louis to designate one person as the scholar athlete. Now, at many high schools, sometimes it's the case that a student will sacrifice academics for athletics. It's the typical dumb jock. TJ is different. There are seniors here who would not play a sport because they want to spend more time on their academics. We're really weird that way. But the student that we selected this year has not made any sacrifices athletically or academically. And our Post-Dispatch scholar athlete this year is Rosie Lapolito. Finally, we've come to our last award, the Arte Award. But before I give it out, something is occurring in this gym I'm not sure has ever happened before. Unless my count is wrong, there are 5 previous Arte Award winners, and I'd like them to stand down here right now. So if you have won that award, please, James D, 2014, Katrina D, where'd Katrina go? We have 4.5 then. Michael B, for sure you won. Where did Bonnie go? Bonnie, come on down. Yes, Bonnie Zhao. Now, even though we hate to admit it, Cody, you actually won it also, so come on down too. We got 4 of the 5. Never had that many in the gym at one time before, and we're about to find 2 others. In fact, why even have any suspense? Can we have April and Nandi please stand up? Chill. So our award reads, the Arte Award is for the male and female athletes who best combine athletic excellence, sportsmanship, and team spirit. I didn't expect to coach girls basketball this year of all years, but these 2, as it turned out, were... Katrina, you've ruined my speech again. Come on down really fast. Thank you. I didn't expect to coach girls basketball this year, but coaching both boys and girls, these 2 were both my captains. Their leadership was great. I can't tell you how many coaches came up to me during the basketball season to ask this question. That April, she's a senior, right? Nandi's going to graduate, right? They don't care about your academics. They want to win games. They don't want you around anymore. But they knew who you were. You weren't just number 4, number 22. You were a person because you interacted with their players, with those coaches. You represented the school well. But the thing about the 2 of you that struck me so much, not so much in basketball for you, but definitely in volleyball and in basketball for you, is the athletic excellence. And there's one facet of the athletic excellence that will stay with me for a long time. It's the way that the 2 of you jump. Nandi, of course, has set the TJ record for dunks all time by a player at 2. He broke the tie last week at the All-Star game. Yeah. And April, of course, if you remember her in volleyball, from that memorable game that Marie talked about seemingly 4 hours ago when senior night started, her rising at the net is also impressive. And the two of you, when you take off for that second, you go places I don't think TJ players usually go, and you hang in the air. And the thing that struck me about the two of you is that when I look at a work of art, I can be moved by it, but it takes time for me to be moved. When I look at someone who's really good academically, that takes place over time. It's never immediate. But your athletic excellence, your transcendence, it's an explosion and it freezes time. You two are remarkable athletes and you are well deserving the Arte Award. Thank you very much for playing for us all these years. Hold that up. It's the two of you. With that, I want to thank Dr. Holkamp and everyone else, Mrs. Walsh and Mr. Burgos and Mr. Paul, who helped make senior night work out so well. It is now over. Get in line and have some pizza.